Hi, I'm Jillian and I'm vlogging for theprospect.net. As your freshman year of college starts to approach, you might start thinking about various things you want to try out. And for many incoming freshmen, this means you're thinking about Greek life. Sorority recruitment is this weird, long, drawn-out process. Well, I'm just gonna chat with you today about some of the things that through going through sorority recruitment as a PNM, as a sister, and now this year I am going to be a recruitment counselor. An easy thing that you have a lot of control over is what are you going to wear. Your school probably has guidelines of just generally what people are going to wear. I'd say for fall recruitment, it's a lot of sundresses and shorts because it's hot, and it also totally depends on your school and how formal it is. Check out what your school says to wear. What I will say for what you personally should wear is, one, dress for the weather and pick something that you feel really good and confident in. It looks good, you really like it. At the same time, don't be too comfortable. Don't roll out in jeans if it's not appropriate for your school. It's an interview process. You want to look really nice. Wear what makes you feel confident, but groom it. Actual recruitment. So when you go through actual recruitment, this is going to vary a lot by school, but I'm going to talk about what's kind of typical and what I experienced. At my school, there are 4 rounds of recruitment and then bid day. So the first round is you're going to have open house round. You're going to go to every single house and you're going to talk to a couple of girls for a short amount of time. You're going to have pretty superficial conversations. It's going to get a little boring. You're going to have the same conversation 10 times. Don't worry about it. That's just kind of how it works. These numbers kind of vary, but the way it generally will work in formal recruitment is at the end of open house, you're going to have a list and you're going to have to write down every single sorority on that list. So at my school, what you do is you write the 8 you would prefer to go back to, a first alternate and a second alternate. But remember, because you're writing down that sorority on your list, you can be invited back there even if it's your dead last choice. And you probably will end up going to houses that you would have preferred to cut. You're going to go to day 2, and at my school, it's philanthropy round. You talk about the different philanthropies the sororities support, what they do for them, and you just kind of get more in depth into kind of day-to-day sorority life. At my school, you can go back to a maximum of 8 houses. So in my case, I wrote down 8 sororities I would have preferred to go back to, a first alternate and a second alternate. And I was invited back to 7 of the 8 I wanted to go back to and my first alternate. And at my school at the end of philanthropy day, you write down the 6 houses you would prefer to go back to, a first alternate and a second alternate. Skit night, which is the girls in the sorority will perform a skit. It gives you a good idea of the personality of the sorority. It's fun. So for me, I was invited back to 4 houses on skit night. At my school last night is prep night. So I went to 2 houses. At the end of that night, there was one house that in my mind had kind of gone from being a house I really didn't like to the house that I loved. And so I wrote down my first choice and my second choice. And on bid day, opened up my bid and I got my first choice. And that was very exciting. And that's the sorority I'm in now. Let's go kind of into that decision-making process. The way my school really encourages girls to think about where they want to go is something called values-based recruitment. So find things that are important to you and find ways you can express that through different sororities. My #1 value is independence. I really favor being able to make my own decisions, be an independent person, have my own stuff going on. Going through recruitment, I really looked for houses where girls were really involved in their sorority, but really involved in other stuff as well and passionate about other things and had other activities. Another thing that was really important to me was I like being in diverse groups of people. So I was really attracted to houses where girls really, there were a variety of body types and hair colors and personalities. It's much more interesting to be in a sorority where there's a bunch of different girls. So it's also a personality thing. Sometimes there are going to be houses where you click with every single girl you talk to, and sometimes there are going to be houses where you don't click with any. What I will say about kind of the personality, the type of conversations you're having, that you need to remember to give every single house a second, third, and fourth chance if need be. When I went through recruitment, the first round at one house, there was one girl I was paired up with near the end, and it was awful. We couldn't find anything to talk about. The girl just was not interested in me. That was one of the houses I preferred not to go back to, but I did go back to them the second day. And I had really good conversations. I talked to a bunch of girls that day. I tried to get rid of them again because of this one awful conversation. But I was invited back there a 3rd time, and I had the best single round I had during any round of sorority. That was kind of the round I knew that was kind of the house for me. You're going to get a different impression of every house every day based on who you talk to. So even though I had one really negative opinion of the house I eventually joined, I had a lot of really positive opinions that I ignored at first. And that girl I had that horrible conversation with went on to be my big and my best friend in college. Another way that sometimes people make their decisions during sorority rush is this horrible thing where people talk about sororities as being ranked and people will want to be in the better ones. Don't let things like that make your decisions. You're going to be much happier being in a house where you fit in personality and values wise than being in the house that's the best if it's not the right fit for you. Make your own decisions during rush. If there's one thing I can impart on you, it is make your own decisions. You might be asked back to a lot of the same houses as your friends, and you might go, hey, it'd be really cool if we were in the same sorority. No, do not do that. You can still be friends with people in other sororities, make your own decisions based on you. The recruitment troubleshooting. But let's say that there was a house that you had a really, really great day at and you really wanted to go back there and they didn't invite you back. And you're really crushed and you really thought that was the house for you. What should you do? Two things. First of all, give every other house on your list a chance. They all want you because they invited you back. When this situation happens, trust they have a better idea of who's gonna fit in than you do. And second, everyone is gonna be nice to you at every single house because they want you to want them. So don't get crushed if a house that you had an awesome day at doesn't invite you back. You may just not be the right fit for their sisterhood. Things that you should bring with you to sorority rush. Number one, a pen and a piece of paper. You're gonna go to a lot of houses and it's gonna be hard to keep them straight. So really write down a lot of information so you can remember things. And the number one thing you need to bring with you, water. It's gonna be so hot. The last thing you want to do is be dehydrated. So just bring all the water, have all of it. Last thing I'm gonna say, you're probably going to cry at some point during the process. Probably for no reason, maybe for a reason that seems really silly in retrospect. Just don't worry, know that it's normal to have a lot of feelings and to feel like you're lost and to not know what's going on. And you might not even feel at home right away. It might take some time. So that's what I have to say about sorority recruitment. Are you going through recruitment in the fall, or do you have some advice for people? Leave them in the comments below. If you like the prospect, like, subscribe, and good luck.